Hi guys, there are two things I want to talk about UV unwrapping. Two big lies, in my opinion. The first one is making you believe that when you are UV unwrapping, you have to keep all the UV islands within one single UV space. So that's not entirely truth, and I will show why I'm saying this. The second thing is there are a lot of videos that seems to show that it is okay to scale this up to be able to achieve certain resolution, and yeah, that was okay as long as you're rendering within Blender or any other 3D software. But in the moment that you want to transfer your 3D model onto a game engine or other applications, then you're not going to be able to get the textures right because you have a lot of areas which are outside of the UV space, especially if you are using one single texture for all of that. So obviously that would be completely black, and I will show how that look like. So before I dive into it, I want to talk about why I came out with this idea of pointing out the two big lies. So the first thing is there is a good tutorial here. This guy, what is textile density and how to master it. I highly recommend it. It clarifies how textile density works and everything about resolution of the textures. But there are these two things which are not covered, yeah, so that's why I want to talk about this. So if we start with the idea that Malcolm is talking about is that we have a 400 centimeter plane here, and we apply this texture onto our model with a texture size of 2048 pixels. So it seems like it's a good reference to texture our 3D models because we have good resolution. And the idea is to try to apply this same detail to our 3D models. So let's try to do that. And I have my sphere that I designed for one of my characters. And at the moment, well, as you can see, I had different types of textile densities, and that's the way I decided because I wanted to have more resolution on this area, which were small details and sharp. And obviously here in the bar, I kind of found I didn't have to. And then here at the bottom, I had less resolution because I decided to be like that. I didn't want to put too many details on this area, so I didn't care so much about it. So in theory, you're supposed to have the same textile density, so the same size of these boxes across the entire model. But that's not entirely true. Yeah, that's what you want to have. Yeah, but if there are areas where you don't actually need or they're not going to be visible, it's no point to do that. So if we try to apply this idea, right, that Malcolm is talking about, that yeah, kind of you try to do that to be consistency. So let's go and let's copy the textile density from the plane, right? And this way, I think it needs to be this other way, TD from active to other stable. So now our sphere has the same textile density as the plane across the entire 3D model, yeah? But when we look at the UV islands, obviously all of them are outside of the UV space, the 0 to 1 UV space. And then you might think, oh, I go and I pack them. So well, in the moment you pack this UV island within the one single UV space, you are losing all of this resolution. So basically it becomes pointless. So this first idea that I said is wrong and it's a lie, having to put this into one single UV space. The reason for that is because you don't have to, basically. There is something called UDIMs, and we go here to, for example, Blender, go to the tools menu, image, and instead of in the source, we click on UDIM tiles, and then we add in the UDIM tiles, let's say 3 or 4 as much as we want. What we're basically doing is we are creating more UV spaces to be able to use multiple textures for one single 3D model. And this way, we will be able to keep the same resolution across the entire 3D model by just placing the UV islands in different texture spaces. So for example, we can just feed some of this here and then some of this here. Obviously, doing that will require you to use multiple textures, but the benefits of that is that we will be able to keep the high textile density resolution that we want to achieve, which otherwise you wouldn't be able to do, right? So this is kind of the idea. That's what needs to be done to be able to keep this resolution on 3D models where you have different colors and different textures applied to it, that you wouldn't be able to stack on top of each other. Like for example, this area here on the top, probably we have different colors than whatever is here on the bar. So what you cannot do is just to go and stack some of this area on top of the other. First of all, you're overlapping UV islands, not ideal. So that's kind of the first idea, right? Now, the second thing is that if we wouldn't be doing this, we obviously, if we are using one single UV space, right, and we go and we paint here on top of this 3D model, yeah, you're gonna see it here, right? And there is no problem, right? The UV islands are there, we have the high resolution, and as long as you are within Blender and you render, right, no problems. But if you are going to create a texture map from your vertex colors or polypaint, how it's in ZBrush, the problem you're gonna have is this one. So at the moment, you have this 3D model, which all of those UV islands that are outside of the one single UV space, and if we were to use one single texture, right, and let's say, I'm just gonna take out, let's say I go and I paint, right, so I paint, let's say we want this color, and then let's go and choose another color, green or whatever. So we paint some other area here, right? And let's say that we want now to create a texture map from our polypaint or vertex color. And the moment we do that, create new texture from polypaint, we're gonna have these defects, right? These black areas. And the reason for that our texture map is now created properly is because obviously the fact of using only one single texture and the fact of having your UV islands outside of the UV space. So that's the reason I want to point out that it is wrong to have your UV islands outside of the UV space, unless, as I mentioned previously, unless you have a few UV layouts, which are the UDIMs, and then you go and you feed them in the different, and obviously you will be creating multiple textures. So that will be the only way that you can use this. So I hope this helps to clarify a lot of the complexity in UV unwrapping your 3D models that a lot of YouTube videos don't actually cover. So yeah, thanks for watching.